It's been a long time since I kind of got myself into the headspace of just playing the game and not troubleshooting much, because there's a lot of bugs, as you may know. But I've been playing Star Citizen for years. I remember playing it as a teenager, and now I'm pushing 30, married, and across the world, living in a place that's not my home country. And I am in-game wearing things that I don't want to be wearing. But that's that. I figured that I would try and see what missions were available given the events that are taking place with the three factions under siege. And I figured I'd stick with CFP because I guess I align more with them. I was looking at these missions and I figured that I didn't want to go to the Stanton Gateway because it was kind of buggy. And so I saw that there was this mission called Need a Hauler, which would just require me to go to a place on a planet and deliver to Orbituary, which I figured, hey, that's better than getting stuck in a space station. But little did I know that this run was actually going to be one of the most enjoyable runs that I'd have in years. So I figured I'll use my M2. I used to run C2s as my mainly driver, and now my daily driver is in M2 because Pyro requires you to defend yourself from time to time. And this thing is a little more beefy than C2.
Crusader Industries, a journey worth taking.
As I plotted my route, I just couldn't help but feel in awe of the performance given that DLSS 4 came out and everything was just buttery smooth, no frame generation required from my end, and I was really happy about that. It was also very interesting to see that there were a lot of players around me. I usually see empty space, but having the trails of ship fly by really felt like something.
Engage.
Pyro is absolutely beautiful, and that can't be understated. The awe that I felt of, after all these years, finally seeing that we had a second star system, even though we were supposed to have way more. It really is something. As I make my way to Pyro 5, I really felt excited because so far I had experienced no major bugs. The markers were working, and as I approached the town that I was supposed to head to, I felt excited because I hadn't really spent much time on this planet yet. I really haven't explored much of Pyro, and that really gives you kind of this feeling of real childhood excitement. I can only remember feeling the anticipation of not knowing what is to come back in my days playing on the PlayStation 2. Spider-Man, that was one of the biggest worlds that I had experienced back then. Jak and Daxter as well, always having something of a surprise. As I approached the landing area, I was surprised that I could see some pips for ships as I was scanning in. I really didn't feel comfortable at a specific point going in without my shields. After I was scanning the specific ships that were around, I figured that it would be better to go in cautious because I'm not sure what players could be around. As my reputation with Citizens for Prosperity is positive, I wasn't really concerned about the environment here. Turrets were not going to target me because I am considered an ally, so I figured I might just find a good place to park or to land. As I flew overhead, I saw the rock face that would kind of match the shape of my ship right next to an elevator for cargo, which I thought was absolutely perfect, so I chose this as a landing place. I decided to check around because I'm going to be releasing both of the ramps, and I need to make sure that they align with the rock, because if not, I could tip over and the ship could fall. Turning off the thrusters just to make sure that my ship doesn't stay in the air in case that something bumps it up. So I know that as I walk out of the ship and onto the ramp's collision is going to update, and it's going to recognize the rock face. So the ship is going to tilt a little forward. I was just checking the ramp in the front side of the ship to make sure that it didn't miss the rock, because the rock is going to be holding it up on the front. And thankfully that worked. I like the angle because it doesn't make it too accessible if someone were to try and jump in. But again, if they really wanted to, it wasn't like gonna prevent them from doing anything. Not knowing the type of environment that I was in, I was cautious, but I was also caught in the beauty of the environment around me. So these are the items that I need to deliver. Thankfully, though, the elevator is working, and the server seemed to be in very good health, which I was very surprised and pleased about. For once, I could actually enjoy the game. So I hop back into the ship because my max lift tractor beam has the capacity to lift boxes from a distance. And here I am just looking around, making sure that no one is trying to fire at me. I have no weapon, so I really can't do much, but just looking around and being cautious is always a good thing to practice. So as I'm taking in all of this, I realize that somehow people are not around me. So I was able to get all of the things that I needed from the elevator. I take one last look so that I can make sure that I have everything, and I do. So now there's nothing left to do except to close the elevators, get back into the cockpit, and fly away. Turning on the thruster so that we can lift off. Retracting our landing gears, but keeping VTOL on just so that we can have stability when moving vertically, and tilting a little bit to the left. That way we can arc ourselves and have a closer turn. I was really impressed with the beauty of the light shafts in the water, and I quickly just decided to go up into space and head over to Bloom, which is where we have to make this delivery. Has to be at the space station near it. Up to this point, the feeling of caution when it came to bugs was slowly melting away, but because of years of conditioning, it was always there. Still, it was an amazing feeling, even though this is just a delivery run, to be able to play the game and to see it working, at least to some capacity. Absolutely beautiful.
Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
And there's our destination, Obituary. Now the task is to get close, find the nearest hangar, and land safely. As you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic here. We have I forgot the name of that ship, but it's an Origin ship. And in the distance, you can see that there is a Polaris. It is the strongest capital ship in the game at this point that you can obtain as a player. Its ramps are down, so I wasn't too concerned about it launching anything at me because it's probably trying to pick something up or pick somebody up, which was very good for my position, given that I really don't want to blow up because I have cargo on me. A successful landing, despite the tip to the front. And now all we have to do is get this cargo into the elevator and deliver it over to the space station. So I was able to get it in successfully, and somehow this also worked. Now, usually when I do missions, they don't work at all. But without a hitch, going through to the planet, picking up the boxes, bringing them here, and I somehow reach contract complete. And I end up getting the money from the delivery. I don't know. I felt so satisfied on that one little achievement. I figured, you know what? I should just explore. I had already accepted another contract, but I just felt so comfortable at that point that I figured I really want to try and see what's out there that I haven't seen yet. So I chose Pyro 1 to try and go through and see what it has to offer, what the environment's like, because I have no idea, and I'm honestly kind of excited about it.
Quantum travel complete.
The moment I saw this, I realized I was in for something pretty intimidating. I knew that there was probably more to explore on this planet, and the fact that it only has 2 markers that I can go to really kind of sets the tone for how unexplored this planet is. And I really wanted to see what I could find, but given that my goal is to have a large organization where I can have people buy in and buy out, because I want to focus on cargo and having things to sell to other players, that way I can kind of have a presence in the in-game economy. I really want to get to the point where I have a Hull C and something bigger at a later point. So as I'm approaching the planet, I really liked the fact that I can't see. And that's usually annoying, but this planet just felt like you were at the bottom of the ocean. It's eerie and it's strange. You have to rely solely on your scanning, and even if there is light, the thickness of it makes it seem dark still. As I'm approaching the landing zone, I realized that the terrain was so jagged and so full of sharp rocks, I had no idea what to do. I mean, sure, there were landing areas, but I'm in a pretty big ship, and I can't just land on pointy rocks. At this point, I was still intimidated because all I had to look around was the little spotlight that I had from the front of my ship. I had no idea what was around me, what to expect. Just landing here in this pitch black darkness felt absolutely stressful. I didn't even know what I hit at that point. As I'm looking around the ship, I then realized that it's a light post, and I just had to move a little backwards because it was holding the front of my ship a little bit. Landing successful, and now it's time to explore what's around. So as I'm going down the elevator, There is a fact that I did not realize. You see, I don't associate an environment that looks like this with this detail, but this planet is actually very hot. And I realized that if I'm not alone, then I should keep my flashlight off, because staying in the shadows may play to my advantage. I wasn't sure what I would find at this first door, although I usually see that it's kind of the same environment, which is kind of a bummer to say. And I hope that this gets changed up so it's more dynamic, but there wasn't really anything here for me to find, so I left quickly, and I decided to look somewhere else along the area so that I could see what there was. Found this panel, but I figured that if I were to take any of the fuses, it might shut off any of the lights, and I really did not want that to happen, given that it's kind of my only way of seeing around this dark and grim place. Found a server room, but again, there wasn't really much for me to find here. There was a door that I really couldn't reach at the top and these placements that were locked, so I left, and I figured that I would look up in this tower. Hopefully there was a loot box that I could take advantage of. As I looked around, I didn't see any boxes. However, I did see the view, which was absolutely stunning for the style of this place and everything. Absolutely spot on for the vibe. At this point, you may be thinking that I'm overheating, and you're right. I did not notice. I'm just not used to these dynamics having any effect on my environment or on me. And the fact that this was working actually caught me off guard. I was mainly here hoping to see if I could find any box that had some item that I might not have already, and to find the terminal that sold items, because I saw that this place does sell things that you can use for your ships or for yourself. And that's mainly what I was trying to look for. But little did I know I was already really overheating. And despite the visual artifacts that was appearing on screen, I was too captivated by the environment to notice that I was actually dying. Eventually, I do succumb to the heat of the planet, and I do meet my untimely demise, but my determination is unfazed. That was a hell of an exploration experience for me, and even though it might not seem like much coming from a guy that's played this game for many years, I find it to be something that really points to progress, despite the fact that it was very mellow. Stick around, I'll be going through all of the phases necessary so that I can reach that point of being a major force in the Star Citizen economy, or die trying, or die and die again trying. I'll see you guys around. Be safe.